Welcome to our new playlist.
We discuss Swedish society chapter by chapter.
Learn all about Sweden.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're jumping right into our source material today, which is Chapter 3 of the book Sverigepass.
Yes, Sweden in focus. It's quite the chapter.
It really is. And if you're listening to this, you are probably right in the thick of preparing for the Swedish Citizenship Society test. And look, we get it.
Oh, yeah.
Staring down the study materials for how a whole country is governed can feel, well, a bit like trying to memorize the terms and conditions for a software update.
Right. It's just incredibly dense, very dry.
Exactly.
All right.
So our mission today is to decode all of that. We're going to have a friendly chat, skip the heavy political jargon, and just look at the actual flow of power in Sweden. Like, who actually holds it and how does it directly affect your daily life?
And that's really the best way to tackle this, because once you understand the basic blueprint, the facts just sort of fall into place.
Yeah, the logic makes sense.
Exactly. And that core blueprint is basically that political power in Sweden is divided into a really clear structure. You've got the state, the regions, and the municipalities. Plus, of course, a little nod to the fact that Sweden is also influenced by the EU.
Right, the EU is always hovering there. But looking at the national structure, I like to think of it, well, think of the Swedish government system like a three-tiered cake.
Oh, I like that. A cake.
Yeah, because each layer has a really specific flavor, a specific job. And today, we're going to slice through all three of those layers.
Sounds delicious. And I guess to understand this three-tiered cake, we have to start right at the top layer.
Makes sense, the top tier.
Right, because this is where the biggest countrywide decisions are actually made, the state level. This includes the Riksdag, which is the parliament, and the government. Sweden is, formally speaking, a parliamentary representative democracy.
Okay, wait, let's pause there. We need to translate that out of political science speak. Parliamentary representative democracy. In practice, for you, the listener, who is going to be voting in a few years, what is the actual mechanism there?
Well, basically it means you don't have some leader who just seizes control, right? All public power proceeds from the people. So the citizens go out and vote in general elections every 4 years.
Every 4 years, got it.
Yeah. And through those votes, they elect 349 representatives. So those 349 people, they pack their bags, head to Stockholm, and take their seats in the Riksdag.
Wow, 349 people.
It's quite a lot. And they're there to represent all the different political parties and, the various geographic regions of the country.
That's a massive boardroom to manage. So what's their exact job once they actually sit in those seats?
They essentially have two supreme responsibilities. First, they make the laws.
Okay.
And second, they hold the national purse strings. They decide on the state budget.
Right.
So how much money the state collects in taxes and exactly how that money gets distributed across Sweden.
Now, here's where I really need to push back a little, or, well, at least ask for a big clarification.
Sure, go for it.
Because we hear the terms, the Riksdag and the government, used interchangeably all the time, right? Like in the news.
Oh, constantly, yes.
You'll read a headline that says, the government passes new environmental law.
Right.
But based on what you just said, the government doesn't actually pass laws. The Riksdag does.
Right.
So what exactly is the government, and why do people confuse the two so much?
It's honestly the most common point of confusion, even for native Swedes. But for your citizenship test, you absolutely have to keep them separate.
Okay, give us the trick. How do we separate them?
Think of the Riksdag as the board of directors, and they are elected by the shareholders, which are the citizens.
Okay, the Riksdag is the board.
Exactly. The government, on the other hand, is the executive management team that gets hired by that board.
Ah, okay. So walk me through that hiring process. How does this executive management team, the government, actually get formed?
It's a very direct cause and effect sequence. First, like we said, the citizens elect the 349 members of the Riksdag.
Right.
Then, once the Riksdag is all seated, their first major job is to vote for a prime minister.
They pick the boss.
Exactly. They choose one person for the top job. Then, that prime minister is tasked with forming a government. So the prime minister turns around and selects a group of ministers like the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Minister for Education, and so on.
Got it.
And that specific group of ministers, led by the Prime Minister, that is the government.
Okay, so the government is basically a smaller subset of leadership, handpicked by the Prime Minister, who was approved by the Riksdag.
You nailed it.
But wait, if the Riksdag makes the laws and decides the budget, what does the government actually do all day?
Good question. The government leads the country. They set the national agenda, and they initiate policy. So they do the heavy lifting of figuring out exactly how the country should be run.
So they come up with the ideas.
Right. And the clearest example of this is the budget bill. Every single autumn, the government drafts this massive, incredibly detailed proposal outlining exactly how they think the state's money should be spent for the next year.
It's just a proposal. Right.
Precisely. The government proposes, but the Riksdag disposes. The government has to take that budget bill, submit it to the Riksdag, and those 349 members have to vote to approve it. If the Riksdag votes no, the government's whole agenda just grinds to a halt.
Which brings up a really interesting dynamic, because the prime minister usually comes from the largest party or, a coalition of parties.
Right.
But they almost never control all 349 seats. So what are the other politicians doing, the ones who aren't in the government?
They play a crucial role. The parties outside the government form what is called the opposition.
Okay.
And in the Swedish system, the opposition is essentially the built-in stress test. Their job is to constantly scrutinize the government's proposals, point out the flaws, and actually present alternative policies.
So they're like the professional skeptics?
Yeah, exactly. And it's vital. Before the Riksdag votes on that autumn budget bill, the opposition parties will literally draft their own alternative budgets.
Whole separate budgets?
Yes. They're called shadow budgets. It shows the public how they would run the country differently. It just ensures that there's healthy, brutal debate before any vote actually happens.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's our top tier of the cake. The people elect the Riksdag. The Riksdag makes laws and approves the budget. And they elect the prime minister, who forms the government.
Exactly.
And then the government proposes the budget, while the opposition constantly checks their math. I get the theory. But let's move from paper to practice.
Okay, let's do it.
Because if the Riksdag passes a massive new law for, say, parental leave, those 349 politicians aren't sitting at desks personally processing my paperwork when I have a baby.
Definitely not.
So how does that actually happen? This leads us straight to the authorities, right?
Yes, the state agencies. Once the Riksdag passes a law and the government sets the budget, it's the authorities that actually implement those decisions. And there are hundreds of these state agencies all across Sweden.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that sounds like a bureaucratic maze.
It can seem that way, but they're very specialized.
Let's give some concrete examples from the text for the listener. So, if you're applying for parental benefit, it's the social insurance agency that decides your case.
Right, based on the laws the politicians wrote.
Exactly. And if you're looking for work, the Swedish Employment Agency. Paying taxes is the Swedish Tax Agency. Extending a work permit is the Migration Agency.
Yeah.
And of course, the Police Agency.
Exactly. To use your cake analogy, the politicians write the recipe, but the authorities are the chefs in the kitchen actually baking the cake.
I love that.
Yeah.
But it does raise a question. If there are hundreds of agencies making huge decisions about our lives, like taxes and visas, who makes sure they don't mess up?
A very important question.
Because if the politicians are just writing the recipes, who is supervising the kitchen?
Well, the Swedish system has independent oversight built in. We have these watchdogs. The most important ones you need to know are the Ombudsman for Justice, which is usually just called the JO, and the Chancellor of Justice, the JK.
The JO and the JK. Got it. So what do they actually do?
They ensure that the authorities are following the law and the instructions from the government. If an agency makes a terrible mistake or an official acts unfairly, the JO and JK are the ones who investigate. It provides a really crucial layer of fairness for the citizens.
That's reassuring. Okay, so we've covered the whole country from the top level. But what happens when, you get sick or you just need to catch a bus to work?
Right. The national government in Stockholm is way too far away to manage your local bus schedule.
Exactly. So that brings us to the middle and bottom layers of our cake. Zooming in, let's start with the middle tier, the regions.
So Sweden is divided into 21 regions.
21.
Yes. And they have their own elections and their own politicians, which make up the regional councils.
Okay, so what are the key responsibilities the listener really needs to memorize for the test regarding these 21 regions?
3 main things. First and foremost, health and medical care. That's the biggest one. Hospitals, clinics, all of that.
Right.
Second is public transport. So the buses, trams, commuter metros. And third, they handle regional culture like county museums.
Okay, hospitals, buses, and museums. That's the regions. But let's zoom in even further to the very foundation of the cake, the municipalities.
Ah, yes, the local level. There are 290 municipalities in Sweden.
290. And the contrast between them is just staggering. I mean, you have Stockholm, which is a massive city with nearly 1 million people.
Yes.
And then the text mentions the tiny municipality of Dorotea in Västerbotten County, which has fewer than 3,000 residents.
It's a huge difference in scale, absolutely.
But here is the real aha moment for me from the source text. Most of these municipal politicians, they aren't career politicians wearing suits and working in politics full time.
No, not at all. This is a really unique part of the Swedish system. They have regular day jobs.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they do politics in their free time. We call them leisure politicians. They might be the person who checked out your groceries this morning or the math teacher at the local high school.
So how do they actually run a whole town in their spare time?
Well, the municipalities are organized into committees.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll have a cultural committee that handles the local libraries or an education committee that oversees the schools. These normal citizens sit on these committees and make the decisions.
That is just fascinating. And why is it so important for the listener to know exactly what the municipalities do?
Because the municipalities handle the things right outside your front door. They handle the water supply, the sewage, elderly care, childcare, adult education, and yes, snow removal.
Oh, snow removal is crucial here.
Exactly. So decisions made in your local municipality often affect your daily life far more directly than whatever grand debates are happening in the Riksdag.
That makes total sense. Okay, so we've mapped out where all the political power sits. From the Riksdag passing laws down to the local snow removal committee.
We have.
But wait, doesn't Sweden have a king?
Yes, we do.
Where on earth does he fit into this power structure? Because we haven't mentioned him once.
That's because Sweden is a constitutional monarchy.
Okay, meaning?
Meaning that while we have a monarch as the head of state, currently King Carl VI Gustaf, he has absolutely zero political power.
Zero, none at all.
None. The monarch's actual job is to act as a unifying symbol for Sweden.
Ah, a figurehead.
Exactly. He goes on state visits abroad, promotes Swedish interests, and hosts foreign heads of state when they visit here. It's an entirely representational role.
Okay, so no vetoing laws or setting budgets. And just to cover our bases for the test, briefly lay out the line of succession for us.
Sure. So after King Carl VI Gustaf, Crown Princess Victoria is next in line to the throne.
Right.
And following her is her firstborn daughter, Princess Estelle.
Okay, got it. The king is the cherry on top of our cake.
Yeah.
Completely symbolic, but very visible.
That is a perfect way to put it.
All right, let's do a really quick rapid-fire recap for everyone furiously studying right now.
Let's do it.
Remember the rule of 3 for the cake? Top layer, the state. That's the Riksdag making laws and the national budget and the government executing the agenda.
Yes.
Middle layer, the 21 regions. They handle the hospitals and the buses.
All right.
Bottom layer,
Yeah.
the 290 municipalities.
Yeah.
They handle the schools,
Yeah.
elderly care, and the snow removal.
Exactly. And don't forget, the authorities processing the paperwork and the king as the symbolic head of state.
Right. Honestly, if you can keep that map in your head, you have a really solid, practical understanding of how your new home actually operates. It's not just a dry instruction manual anymore.
No, it's a living system. And, I'd actually like to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Oh, please do.
We talked about how most local politicians in Sweden's 290 municipalities are just regular citizens
Right.
doing politics in their free time.
Yeah, the math teachers and grocery clerks.
Exactly. Well, think about this. What is stopping you once you pass this test and officially become a citizen from doing the exact same thing?
Oh, wow. I love that.
Right. What's stopping you from running for office and being the one making the decisions about the schools and parks in your own neighborhood? The system is built for ordinary people to step up.
That is an incredibly empowering thought to end on. You're learning the rules today, but tomorrow, you could be the one writing them. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, and best of luck with your studying.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it.
See you next time.
Goodbye.